Live from Southwest Florida, you're watching Fox 4 Morning News.
Good morning, and thank you for watching our special coverage of the recovery efforts after Hurricane Ian. I'm Lisa Greenberg.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Chris Shaw. So it's about 5:01 here in Southwest Florida on this first Monday after Ian, and we want to kind of set the stage for where we are right now. More of you are telling us you are getting power and water back, maybe both. So there is some good news there. There's some positives out there this morning. More gas stations are opening. Some things are returning back to normal. Garbage collection will pick up again in some parts of our area. People will go back to work. Some of them will for the first time since the storm. But we also know many of you are still struggling with carrying out all of your furniture. You've got the water in your mattress or in your couch. You've got that black sludge on your floors. Some of you are still looking for a place to live or maybe food to eat. So over the next few hours, we will tell you where you can get help doing all of those things. And we want you to know that we are here for you. We are telling your story, and we want to hear from you. We want to hear how you're doing and if we can help in any way.
We know search and rescue operations are still happening all across Lee County. We have reporters staged in Collier County, in Lee County, Fort Myers, the shell factory where one of the debris drop-off sites is already open. We've got you covered. We are following every step of the recovery process here on Fox 4 Morning News, and we're going to get to all of that in just a second. But we want to start things off with meteorologist Trent Eric, who's tracking the forecast for you right now. And Trent, I know a lot of people are going to continue to be outside, whether it's because they don't have power right now, because they're doing the cleanup efforts. So what is in store for today?
We're actually very lucky. We're very blessed behind the storm that we're not dealing with the heat and the humidity and those afternoon showers and storms to really make things a lot worse. So right now we're just a little after 5 o'clock. We got about 2 hours to before sunrise. That happens at 7:21. You've got roughly 12 hours exactly here before the sun sets. To reverse those numbers, 7:12, you'll have to be wrapping things up and heading inside before it gets dark once again here in Southwest Florida. Our radar, though, is very, very quiet. All the green you're seeing is false return. Yesterday, we had quite a bit of rain over on the East Coast. That is pulled away. So as we take a little closer look from Boca, Fort Lauderdale, all the way across the lake, we're dry. Again, Arcadia down. We will not see a drop of rain here today as the dry air continues. We are waking up the temperatures here in the mid to upper 60s. We've got low 70s to the south. So our temperatures are actually running a little bit below normal, and our humidity values are fairly low as well. We're picking up with dew point values here in the 50s for LaBelle and Northport. That makes it feel very comfortable when you step outside, unlike that oppressive humidity we saw for weeks leading up to Hurricane Ian. As far as your forecast here for today, 86 degrees, sunny and clear. You got your sunset time coming up there again at 7:12. We'll talk more long term here coming up in just a bit. Lauren.
All right, everyone, and as you're out on the roadway, maybe trying to navigate to get supplies or find that gas, it could be a little hard to get around. I want to start over in the Bonita Springs area where you're going to see part of a road closure. This is going to be right at the intersection. This is storm damage that caused all of this closure. It's Bonita Beach Road both ways. It's going to start at Bay Point Lane all the way to West Avenue. Obviously, that bridge leading to the Estero Island area still closed off. Also, you have some storm damage right here. This is flooding. It's Vanderbilt Beach Road, so it's going to be shut down eastbound, westbound from Gulf Shore Road all the way to Point Drive. Headed on up to the Cape Coral area, Matlacha still closed down. I know a couple of people have told me they've tried to go over to find volunteer opportunities. Head over to our website, fox4now.com. They're going to stop you at the marina. If you get out there, they'll also talk to you about where you can find volunteer opportunities, but you're still not allowed over there to just see how things are going at the moment, via road at least. Also, we have some flooding. It's going to be right here, Palm Tree Boulevard both ways. It's from 43rd Terrace to 44th Street. Just a small portion of the roadway, but again, if you're trying to find maybe a way to get to your loved ones or maybe a gas station, that could slow you down.
All right, Lauren, thank you very much. Probably some of the most urgent work going on right now will pick up in just a couple of hours. That is evacuating people who are still stuck on places like Pine Island where there is no road in or out.
Yeah, the bridge, the only bridge to get off of Pine Island, was just destroyed by this hurricane. So let's go ahead and send it on over to Fox 4's Alexandra Ronhell. She has been covering the search and rescue efforts on Pine Island. Alexandra?
right now the island is only reachable by boat, so you can only imagine how hard it's been evacuating people in an area where there's no power and also very little communication with those who are stranded. But help is on the way right now. Behind me, you can actually see these workers here that are setting up these two barges. They're being set up and getting them ready to be deployed later this morning to help with relief on the island. Plus, evacuations are still ongoing. Our team was here yesterday when evacuations started. They started at daybreak, and we expect the same today. What we've seen so far is volunteers with boats arriving to help residents of Pine Island. They use their own gas, own transportation, and offer their help in any way they can. The pickup point on Pine Island is the Yucatan waterfront. That's where many of the evacuees we met yesterday were picked up from and then brought by boat to Matlacha Pass. The Coast Guard also started evacuations yesterday. The Guard wants residents to meet at the fire department in Bokeelia. We spoke to one evacuee, Ed Romig, as he got off a boat yesterday. He was rescued from Bokeelia and says being on the island right now is not safe.
Be smart. It's the roads washed out, the bridges are gone. This isn't Charlie. The Red Cross isn't going to be at the center handing out sandwiches in a week.
Today, we are monitoring these evacuations, and we're also expecting FDOT to be here later this morning. FDOT, it should be surveilling the bridge this morning, which a lot of residents have been wondering when that bridge will be repaired. So hopefully we'll get those answers this morning. Live in Matlacha, Alexandra Angel, Fox 4.
Alexandra, thank you very much. The rescue crews are doing some amazing work in places like Pine Island. I had a chance on my way into work today. I passed by the Lee Civic Center, and basically it is like a mini city there at the Lee County Fairgrounds. Hundreds, maybe more than 1,000 vehicles are there. Many of them power crews, but other crews as well. And they are staging there. And it was just an impressive sight to see all those vehicles and all the power poles that they have ready to go. So there are a lot of people in Southwest Florida getting ready to get up and go to work for you today.
Yep, I've heard a lot of stories of people who are saying, should I reopen my work offices today? Should we be going back to work today? But I know a lot of people are also trying to work in that sense of normalcy to try to keep moving forward. Another thing I noticed too, and I've been hearing from a lot of people, is that their cell service, their cell reception is returning. So that's a good sign. A lot of people in Cape Coral that I previously wasn't able to communicate with are now able to reach out. They're able to text and make phone calls. So that seems to be improving along with the power numbers here in Southwest Florida.
All right, we are going to show you some video, I believe. What are we going to do next?
All right,
we are following evacuations that are happening on Matlacha, Sanibel, and Fort Myers Beach. But as crews work to bring people to safety on the mainland, some people are wondering whether ordering evacuations earlier could have saved lives.
So let's send it on over to Amy Kiley. She is looking into evacuation enforcement.
I wouldn't have changed anything.
The death toll from Hurricane Ian is rising, especially around Fort Myers, Florida. Lee County officials ordered evacuations less than 24 hours before landfall. That was a day after some neighboring counties and 2 days after storm surge warnings.
Everyone wants to focus on a plan that might have been done differently. Well, I'm going to tell you, I stand 100% with my county commissioners, my county manager.
Governor Ron DeSantis points out earlier forecasts had centered on Tampa.
It's easy to second guess them, but they were ready for the whole time and made that call when it was justifiable to do so.
He also notes Lee County residents could have gone to shelters.
They informed people, and most people did not want to do it. I mean, that's just the reality. Good luck.
Senator Rick Scott of Florida was the state's governor through several hurricanes. He says it's important to evaluate the emergency response to each major storm.
As we go through this, we'll find out, is there things that we could do better to make sure we don't lose people's lives?
For now, many Floridians are just focusing on what they have left.
I lost my boat, I lost everything I had, but save 3 guys is worth it.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
All right, so there is a lot going on today here in Southwest Florida, and like every day since the storm, we will get updates from state, county, and city leaders about the status of things.
Yeah, we want to let you know about a few different events that are happening today, a few different media conferences and announcements that will provide some updates for what is happening here in Southwest Florida. So the Department of Emergency Management Director Kevin Guthrie will be having an announcement at 10 o'clock this morning, so we can get more information about what the Florida Department of Emergency Management is doing to kind of, push forward in recovery efforts. Charlotte County is setting up a temporary medical site, and we're going to learn more about that at 10 o'clock this morning as well. Then we have Nikki Freed in Lee County. That will be at 11:30. She is the state's ag commissioner. The city of Bonita Springs will be holding a news update at 3 o'clock this afternoon. That's the same time we'll be hearing from the city of Cape Coral as well. And remember, you can count on Fox 4. We will be at all of these. We will be providing all of the latest information from each of these updates for you right here on Fox 4 and on the Fox 4 app.
And we can tell you that the governor will also speak at some point today. We will be there for that as well. What you see here is drone video from downtown Cape Coral, and this is one of the areas that is seeing a lot of damage, especially the southern part of the Cape where those high winds blew through. And so as we get further into our coverage, we're getting some chances to get to places we haven't seen. And the signs, pretty much everywhere in Cape Coral, signs are down, trees are down, power lines are down, and that's what you see right here.
And it's interesting, too, I haven't made it out to this area yet, Chris. I haven't been able to go to the South Cape to see all of that damage. So seeing that for the first time, it's difficult to know what people in the South Cape are going through, especially because I know so much of Cape Coral still does not have power. What you're looking right now is at drone video taken yesterday in downtown Fort Myers. This area at the yacht club has been seeing a lot of damage as well. The boats just flipped over on top of each other. Homes in this area are damaged as well, and it's just hard to see all of this from the aerial perspective. It just gives you such a good look at what we are dealing with all across Southwest Florida right now.
All right, now I want to show you where you can get some food today, because we know people are struggling right now. So many people lost everything. They are out of their homes and they don't have anywhere to go. There is an opportunity for you to get food and water today. There are many different organizations doing this, but I want to concentrate on some of the big ones first in Lee County. These are county-run what they call food and water distributions. There are 8 of them in the county. You can see there's one in Bonita Springs. There are a couple in Fort Myers, including one at Kelly Road Soccer Complex, 2 in Cape Coral, Leonard Street, and the Cape Coral Sports Complex. There's also one in Estero, North Fort Myers, and Lehigh Acres. We can show you where those addresses are next. So these locations will be open from 8 this morning until 5 this evening. That'll be every day going forward. Again, these places are where you can get food and some water.
All right, well, this morning we are gradually seeing more and more people turning the lights back on here in Southwest Florida.
Yeah, Ian, of course, knocked out power to entire communities, but as power crews got to work, not only from our local companies, but also with help from crews from as far away as Montana, power is being restored.
One of the many areas, though, that still has a long way to go, we were just talking about this, is Cape Coral. Our Colton Chavez is live from a very dark Skyline Boulevard in the Cape. Colton.
Lisa, you said it yourself, and this is the reality of what many communities throughout Southwest Florida are having to wake up to this morning. Dark homes, dark streets. Living in Southwest Cape Coral myself, this is kind of the reality, having to rely on flashlights like this one just to get around the home. So, but as you said, Lisa, and I really want to point this out, we are starting to make gradual efforts and improvements to start to get some of that power back on. We've seen crews down streets just like Skyline Boulevard that I'm at now really start to make those improvements. So I want to get to some of the numbers of what we're seeing right now in areas throughout Southwest Florida. So these are from LCEC. Now, these are the latest numbers we have. So here in Cape Coral, we have just over 107,000 people without power. Now, if you've been paying attention, that's a higher number than yesterday. But the reason for that is workers have to actually turn off certain sections to restore another section. It's actually a safety precaution for those workers that are doing those line improvements. So these numbers will vary throughout the day. Up in North Fort Myers, they've made some improvements, over 50,000 without power, and they've added a couple hundred more with power since yesterday at almost 6,000 with their power restored. In Lehigh Acres, over 10,000 without power, and in Immokalee, just over 2,000 without power. And of course, we've been talking about Marco Island and Sanibel and the destruction they are facing. As of this morning, 0 homes in both of those areas have power at this time. The next set of numbers we have is from Florida Power and Electric, FPL. Now, as for FPL, all counties have actually made improvements from yesterday, so that's some good news. Lee County over 123,000 still without power. Charlotte County just shy of 80,000 without power. Down in Collier County, over 47,000 without power. Over in DeSoto County, over 6,000 without power. Glades, just 150 people without power. And Hendry County has over 5,000 without power. And if you're here in Cape Coral and you're still trying to move forward with these electricity issues, they do have charging stations for your cell phones and other items at several locations throughout the city, both at City Hall and at police and fire headquarters. And for a list of all these outages that I just spoke to you about, plus these charging locations, we have that in an article live on our website right now this morning, fox4now.com. We're going to be here all morning, and I'll be checking back in with you guys within the next hour. Live in Cape Coral, Colton Chavez, Fox 4.
All right, Colton, thank you very much. It is a bad feeling not to have power, but when that power comes on, there's a sense of returning to normalcy, even if there's a lot of damage, even if there's a tarp over the roof and there's water damage in the house. Once you get that power back on, it's a great feeling.
I know when I was in a neighborhood in South Fort Myers and the power came back on, everyone came out of their houses. They started cheering and clapping, and it was kind of a bright spot in what we've been seeing. Yeah. So that was nice to see. All right, at 5:17, we're going to take a quick break here on Fox 4 Morning News. We'll be right back with more Hurricane Ian coverage.
Good morning, everybody. 5:20 is the time. You are watching coverage of Hurricane Ian, special coverage from Fox 4 News. One of the more incredible things that we have seen in this aftermath of the storm is all of the rescues that have happened, be it from the coordinated efforts like they're doing today to go to Pine Island and get people off the island, to rescuing people who are in real danger at the time.
Take a look at this video. This is a rescue that we saw in Bonita Springs. Take a look. These are Good Samaritans that are saving this man who was stuck inside of his car, obviously during the height of this storm. Seeing video like this just goes to show so much good here in Southwest Florida. These people risking their lives to save this person. We're getting this video now into our newsroom and more videos like this, just showing the efforts of people. You know, you obviously expect the first responders to go out and do rescues like this, and it doesn't, you know, that's just as amazing. But seeing people who are just risking their lives, who don't have experience doing this kind of thing, to save men like this, men and women, it's just incredible to see this happening here in Southwest Florida.
Well, we've seen it countless times since the storm, people just helping other people. It doesn't have to be this dramatic. It can be helping people by donating or by giving food. And we want you to know that the people who run a food pantry here in Southwest Florida are busy right now. They're having to clean up from the hurricane, but they are also giving supplies to people who desperately need them. So this is the Gladiolus Food Pantry in Harlem Heights. It usually distributes food on Wednesdays to about 240 families, but when Ian came through, the distribution had to be canceled. Canned black beans, bags of rice, meat, bread, and produce were not given out, and by the weekend, much of that food had to go to the garbage.
Stores are overcrowded. You have to wait in line. No cash. Cash only. Credit or debit. Can't get any cash. ATMs aren't working. So I have 3 kids. So I have to get some supplies to feed them.
The pantry is a lifeline for people who are already struggling from the cost of food and housing.
It's good to see all of those people being able to access food pantries like this. I know this isn't the only one here in Southwest Florida. Next Level Church has a food distribution happening today. It did have to move to its downtown Fort Myers location for today, for the rest of the week, really. So that's something that you can also go to if you're in the Fort Myers area to get some food. They're going to be open today, I believe this morning at 10 o'clock, to be distributing food there.
All right, I want to show you some video. This is some video of damage in North Fort Myers. This is Aqua Lane and Moody. Okay, this is Skyline Drive then, and Over River Drive, and you can see these power poles just leaning over. There is a lot of that in Southwest Florida right now. So this just gives you an idea of the kind of damage they're dealing with in North Fort Myers. This is real close to the river, so I imagine that the water damage is pretty significant here too. This is just south of Hancock Bridge Parkway, and so people there, you can see them, they've had to get rid of probably almost all of their belongings. Just look at that. This is the kind of situation where the river just expanded so quickly and got so high into people's homes that just about everything they owned was either drenched or had some kind of water on it and is now just destroyed. So they've spent their last few days carrying all that stuff out of their homes and onto the street, and the question now is, can they even live in their homes after this?
And we do want to let you know that right now people, of course, they're really working to figure out the damage inside their homes. Many people are just now being able to return to their homes for the first time. So you saw in that video, the people there obviously have had some time to kind of go through their belongings, but for some, they're just now being able to do that for the first time. Fox
4's Michael Schwartz walked through one Fort Myers man's home, and the home may not be salvageable.
Well, tonight, this Vice community here in Fort Myers continuing to recover. It's where do you even start is the question, because the pieces you can't even pick up. Those wood beams came from a railroad just about 1,000 feet out on the water, flown into homes like Tom Walensky's here, who I want to get to, piercing through the windows. Tom, thank God you weren't home during the storm, because this, you said, is your man cave?
Yeah.
This is what's left of your home. Where do you even start?
I don't know where to start. Every minute's another decision to try something. It's overwhelming.
From the river, the wood just flew here. That tells you how powerful this was.
Oh, the surge had to be unbelievable. It's just amazing. Some of these beams got to weigh 2 to 3 tons.
You have trees, you have appliances. I spoke to your neighbor, Yvonne. She says the things and appliances on her front yard aren't even from her next door neighbors.
Oh, no, I've got a refrigerator in my yard, I've got a kayak in my yard, and I've got a boat on the other side of the house between Yvonne's and mine. I have no idea where they came from.
Now, show me here, because there was a mirror broken, there's a bathroom there, you said there's sewage. What you've been doing today, you said throughout earlier today, is just breaking cabinets to get to medicine and other family
All
photos.
the wood has swollen up that you can't get in. I need a pry bar to get into the drawers to get my family pictures and medication.
So this was your man cave, your kitchen just back there. This freezer is still full. I'll let you come over here so you can get in. Watch yourself there. You said there's footprints on your fridge?
Yeah, bare footprints on the fridge.
So you have looters coming in here?
Definitely looters in the area. At night, there's gunshots going on constantly with the people trying to protect their property.
Where are you living right now?
I'm living about 2 miles away at a friend's house.
What is your main concern? You told me earlier, we were speaking in your front yard, that this is going to have to be bulldozed.
Yes, correct. It's definitely there's no rebuilding it. It's gone. It's just structurally, I don't think it's sound.
I mean, what is that feeling? I can't imagine the sense in just hours you become homeless. A home, you said, that is from the 50s.
Correct. 57 it was built. Every day, well, a couple days ago, I woke up and I opened my eyes and basically said, well, go to the supermarket, get a shopping cart, and just put my belongings in, and just join the homeless out on the streets.
There's no words to describe the dirt, the filth that came from that water, the wind that knocked so much around, tossed things around in your kitchen, the huge wood beams from the railroad. We are just thinking of you. We are, of course, from Buffalo. We came here to help Fox 4, our sister station. What do you tell people outside this area who are just asking nonstop to help? What can they do?
All I can say is pray. There's nothing physically they could do.
Hey, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And we're going to send it back to you from here in Fort Myers, as the rebuilding hasn't even begun yet.
No.
But you told me you're keeping up as much humor and as much
got
light as possible.
Yeah. Like the sign in front says, thank you, Jesus. That's all you can do.
All right, Tom, thank you so much for speaking with us.
Thank you.
We're going to send it back to you. We're in Fort Myers. Michael Schwartz, Fox 4.
Michael, thank you very much. It's tough to lose everything, but also to have this huge mess that's left behind, to lose it in that way. I've spoken to people who have been in homes, helping people who live along the river in places like North Fort Myers and also Fort Myers Shores, and they describe just that black sludge from the water that is just left behind when the water recedes from the river, and it's just awful, and it just smells bad, and it just gets into everything. Even the things that are higher up and didn't get as much water damage, it's just unsalvageable because the smell is just so bad.
I even noticed driving from Fort Myers into Cape Coral this morning to come here to work. As soon as I crossed the bridge into Cape Coral, you could smell that smell, and I almost don't even know how to describe it. It's not a smell that you would normally smell in this area. It's just that kind of moldy, mildewy, wet smell, and this all throughout Cape Coral as I was driving in here.
Go ahead.
All right, we want to show you video now of Miami-Dade Fire Rescue Florida Task Force 1 surveying Sanibel Island for survivors right now. This is just another example of what we're seeing, crews from other parts of our state, other parts of our country coming here to our area to help us out in our time of need. So they're going through Sanibel. They're looking for people who still need to be rescued off of Sanibel because, of course, the causeway, the only way in and out of the island, is completely destroyed. So what they're going to have to do is get those people to safety using boats or through the air. You can see in this video here, this is something that we were sent by the Miami task force that is going through the Sanibel Island area right now, and not only showing us looks at the damage, but also their efforts to save lives.
Yeah, we also know that crews are going in there to sort of clear the roadways as well. So barges are bringing over heavy equipment onto the island. So once these crews get there, they can clear the roads and they can travel and find more people. All right, here is some more video we want to show you from Fort Myers Beach of the destruction there. And the more we get into Fort Myers Beach and explore what's happening there, the more heart-wrenching it gets. So this is aerial video, and then this is video on the ground that we were just able to get. We have Fox 4's Elise Chingari is working to get to this area right now. We will speak with her a little later this morning.
Just devastating to see all of the damage in the city of Fort Myers as well, the yacht basin, all of those boats on top of each other. You know, days after the storm, I keep thinking, when are we going to see the boats removed from the middle of the roadways and all of those boats on top of each other in that yacht basin? When are those going to start to clear up? And it's going to be quite some time before we see any changes.
Right, you've got to take it step by step, and so right now it's just the emergency things right now, saving lives, getting people to safety, getting power and water restored, and then cleanup will happen later.
All right, time right now is 5:31. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back here on Fox 4 Morning News.
Good morning, everybody. 5:33 is the time. One of the areas that has slowly getting back to normal is Naples. More people have power in Collier County than they do in the rest of Southwest Florida, and the kids are going to go back to school in Naples later this week on Thursday. I want to show you some video from yesterday. This is the Naples Pier, I believe, and this is from last week on the 29th, and this was before the pier suffered all the damage that it took.
We know that, you know, places like Naples have been able to recover a bit more quickly because they haven't had as much damage, which is crazy to think about because we saw that video right after the storm where the storm surge was so high, especially in the 5th Avenue South area. And so to see now, you know, things being able to recover there, it's a good testament to the people in that area who've worked so hard, as well as, you know, others who have come in to the Naples area to help. I'm hoping that, you know, that effort can now be directed to places like Lee County, Charlotte County that are still dealing with so much damage.
Sure, and you know, with Naples, this part of Naples especially, there was a lot of water getting into the homes and the businesses around this area, and it's still stunning to see what happened to the pier there. It's gone, so that will have to be rebuilt, as will many of the houses around there, because there was just so much water in this stretch of Naples.
Well, a family fishing business is feeling the impacts of Hurricane Ian.
Yeah, Newsy spoke with the Fort Myers family to find out how they're working to recover.
The devastation spans far and wide. You can see the wreckage all behind me. A roof back there completely collapsed. Hurricane Ian flooded homes, flattened businesses, and wrecked boats, scattering them throughout Fort Myers. I spoke with a family that owns a fishing company right behind me. They tell me this storm wrecked their business just 1 week before crab season.
This used to be the fish house here.
The fishing house for Off the Hook Fishing Fleet, a fishing business in Fort Myers, now left in shambles.
Lost thousands of dollars, you know, probably over $15,000 just in gear.
Stone crab fishing runs in Michael McPhillips's blood.
Words can't describe it, but what happened here, you know. This is like, you know, like I said, it's a family business. It's been our family for generations and generations.
He says family-owned commercial fishing businesses are hard to come by. It's why he tied down and braced for impact as Hurricane Ian barreled into Fort Myers.
Well, the storm surge was coming in so fast, it was like, you know, like you're being in the rapids.
A storm charged with dangerous winds ripping through everything in its path.
And lines were stretching and stuff was breaking and popping and buildings were washing away and cars and everything.
His mom, Denise, says she begged her son to stay home.
That morning I said, please, I said, the boats aren't worth it. And, you know, we can replace them, we can't replace your life. But in his heart, you know, he built that boat and that's his life.
Because, you know, this is our livelihood, this is all we got. You know, without this, you don't have anything. So that's why I was trying to save the boats and doing the best I can.
He managed to save one boat, the one named by his great-grandfather.
It's the only boat floating.
The father and son survived a historic storm.
The Keys, I wrote out Hurricane Irma down there, the same situation, but this storm was, you know, 5 times worse than Hurricane Irma.
I'm gonna cry. I thank God that I had my son come home again. I really did. I'm crying now.
The monstrous hurricane devastated the Fort Myers Marina, tearing boats apart just 1 week before crab season kicked off.
We filled everything up, figuring we weren't gonna be able to get stuff if something did happen, and all our bait is everywhere now.
Where do you go from here? I don't know. I'm praying for a miracle.
She says they don't have insurance.
I don't sleep. I'm a nervous wreck, and I'm, like I said, I have no answers. We need help. We're begging for help. We need the government to come in and help us. We need somebody to come in and help us in this industry. We're desperate.
The family is focused on cleanup and praying that they can get at least one boat back in the sea to ensure the family can keep food on the table and the lights on. The family tells me they'll have to replace thousands of dollars worth of gear before they can even see a profit. And they tell me they're not sure how long it's going to be before they can finally see a normal fishing season. Addie Guajardo, Fort Myers, Florida.
We know a lot of businesses are in that exact same
Sure.
situation. A lot don't have the insurance needed to cover all of that damage.
And you also have to think that season is right around the corner. I mean, we're a month away from season starting, a traditional time where they make all of their money, and they're not going to be in business for a long time.
Just horrible. We do want to let you know about some information that was just brought into the Fox 4 newsroom about the Upper Captiva Fire Rescue District. They say that they have close to a ton of food and water at their station right now. So if you are in need on Captiva, that is an option for you. They're asking everyone to please come in, take some food to get the supplies you need. It's in the garage bay closest to the stairs, they say. The address for this location is on Hodgepodge Lane in Captiva, 4511 Hodgepodge Lane. Again, this is the Upper Captiva Fire Rescue District.
All right, let's bring Fox 4 certified meteorologist Trent Eric in to talk about the weather today. Trent, are rescue crews and others going to have another good day to do their work?
Absolutely. This is one of the silver linings here behind Hurricane Ian, as in fact we have had such gorgeous weather, early arrival of fall and below average temperatures, and it really helps tremendously as we try to keep folks as cool and dry as possible. Now, as far as the sunrise sunset time, very important with so many of us remaining without power. 7:21 is sunrise, your sunset is 7:12. So we have about 12 hours there of daylight before it gets really dark here in Southwest Florida again. Now, as far as the radar, this is all false return. We've been checking around. Yesterday, we had quite a bit of shower and thunderstorm activity between Boca and Fort Lauderdale, and we're dry anywhere from Arcadia down. That's going to help out as well. Now, as far as our temperatures, when you step outside, it's cool. It's crisp. We got temperatures here in the mid to upper 60s. The warmest spot on the map is Marco Island at 71. The rest of us here sitting in the mid 60s all the way up through Northport. And our dew point values, we've actually got some 50s on the map. So with those, we are actually down a little bit from somewhat humid to the tolerable category as things are very, very comfortable. Now, later on today, we are going to see that wind light out of the north, 5 to 10 miles per hour. It'll just help bring in that cool air once again. So your forecast for today looks really good. 86 degrees, sunny and clear. Your sunset time again coming up at 7:12. The remnants of Ian still spinning here off the eastern seaboard, and it's not going to move much. Kind of stuck here in the next day or two. But that cold front and that hurricane brought really dry air from not only the southeast into Florida, but now into parts of the Bahamas, and that's going to keep things quiet. Matter of fact, you look at the forecast here for today, and you can see we are not seeing much rain across the entire state, and this trend is going to continue. A few showers on the East Coast Tuesday and Wednesday, but other than that, we're going to remain dry. A little closer look at this afternoon, and you can see just a couple of passing clouds, and that's it. So the trough that dug here on the eastern seaboard has the remnants of Ian kind of spinning in them, and that's going to keep the dry air going through Wednesday. Matter of fact, we look long term, here comes another big dip in the trough. That's going to push additional cold front through southwest Florida coming up on the weekend there of the 8th, 9th, and 10th. Now, as far as the long-range computer models, watch the spin. That's Ian. That's the remnants, just kind of spinning off the East Coast, bringing more rain there from New Jersey all the way up towards Cape Cod. Now, one question I've received a couple of times here is there anything else brewing out there in the tropics? We still have all of October to go and November with the season ending. Usually you get to November and it's really, really quiet, but there are two areas we're watching. One off the coast of South America there has a 40% chance. One south of the Cabo Verde Islands has a 70. And again, looks like that one's turning safely to the north. So no imminent threat in the tropics, which of course is great news. If you're doing a little boating today, just watch for storm debris. No issues with the wind. Your 7-day forecast keeps temperatures very nice. This 7-day forecast for cleanup efforts couldn't be any better for this time of year here in Southwest Florida.
As someone who has no AC and water herself, I can tell you that the cooler temperatures, they are certainly welcome. So speaking of traffic, I know maybe not everyone back to work, but as you're out trying to get supplies or maybe trying to find gas, a couple of things that you need to watch out for. Still looks like we have a little bit of flooding right here. This is Palm Beach Boulevard, so it's going to close down a small portion of the roadway. It's from Oasis Way to Cranford Avenue. As we head down to the Naples area, we also have flooding. This is going to be right along the coast. It's Gulf Shore Boulevard, southbound only, northbound is still clear. This is shut down from 7th Avenue to 2nd Avenue. Headed on up, we also have a crash this morning. This is going to be US 41 and Strike Lane. As I've been out and about, I got to tell you, I see a lot of people, especially I-75, zipping in and out of traffic. We have so much going on. You don't want to disrupt any of the supply lines. Everyone, please take it nice and easy out there so that way we don't have any backups and any major slowdowns that we have to worry about, especially when gas is so priceless right now.
Good advice there, Lauren. Thank you. Well, there are so many organizations and churches working to help people in Southwest Florida right now.
We want to show you a food distribution that's happening at Next Level Church. It's now moving to their church in downtown. So starting today through Saturday from 10 o'clock in the morning until 2, you can find more information on this on our website, fox4now.com. But again, 10 to 2 in their Next Level Church location in downtown Fort Myers.
Also on our website, we have several other places you can go for food and water and other supplies today. Well, we're getting a closer look at what's left on Fort Myers Beach. And now home and business owners, they want to know what's going to happen next.
People have been told to stay away from the area because of the town that's been just devastated. So we want to send it on over to Fox 4's Elise Chinkari. She is there now with the very latest.
Good morning, Lisa and Chris. Yes, we are here on San Carlos Boulevard. We are basically at the closest access point to get onto that bridge to head into Fort Myers. However, we do not have access to that area at this time. I'm being told by the Sheriff's Department that is for emergency vehicles, first responders, and search and rescue teams. It's also closed to pedestrians, so they can't walk over that bridge either. Now, this is the first time that my photographer and I have headed to this area, so just to describe it to you, we've obviously seen pictures that there's boats just everywhere, but I'm talking big boats, and they are crashed on top of vehicles on both sides of the road when you are trying to enter here. There's also a distinct smell. I can't even explain to you what it's like, but to also show you, if my photographer can zoom in here behind me, I'm sure it'll be easier to see once it becomes daylight out. However, you can see that there are just piles and piles of sailboats, back there. There's debris all over. There's also homes that we can see here in the distance. Obviously, we know that's the impact of Hurricane Ian and that strong storm surge that many of us experienced and saw firsthand throughout here in Southwest Florida. Again, the entire area is basically covered by multiple different law enforcement agencies, different sheriff's departments. Their vehicles have been rushing back and forth here for the last hour. You can see that the area is blocked. Again, they've been driving back and forth. They're also traveling by foot. You can see those cars going by right now. Again, this is search and recovery time. They're not allowing pedestrians over the bridge. I'm currently trying to work to get you more answers this morning on how we are going to find out when people will have access back and forth to this area. But at this time, like I said, this is for emergency vehicles, first responders. I know one of the deputies said there's a lot of firefighters on that other side of the bridge there again for those search and rescues. They're going by boat as well. Of course, we'll stay here and continue to update you on those search and rescue efforts this morning. Live here in Fort Myers, Elise Chingari, Fox 4.
Elise, thank you very much. It gives you an idea of just how bad things are on Fort Myers Beach. Here we are several days after the storm rolled through, and those crews still haven't gotten to everybody yet. They still are having to do more searches.
And seeing that the bridge is still closed into that area as well. You know, you see obviously in Sanibel and Matlacha, those areas are impassable. So that's why a lot of the people can't make it over to that those islands. But Fort Myers Beach, the bridge is functioning just fine. It's just so devastating there that they're not letting people back onto the beach yet.
Yeah, so a lot of things happening today, including those search and rescues. But we should get updates as the morning and as the afternoon goes on about different things. Everything from power to searches to water restoration. So here, take a look at your screen. We are tracking a number of things that will happen today. At 10 this morning, we expect to get an update from the Florida Department of Emergency Management. Also at 10, Charlotte County will have a temporary medical site that will open. Ag Commissioner Nikki Freed will visit Lee County at 11:30, and then at 3 this afternoon, we'll get updates on how things are going in the cities of Bonita Springs and Cape Coral.
All right, now at 5:47, want to show you some video. This is drone video taken yesterday from Coronado Parkway. And Chris, this is an area that I have not been able to see yet up until this point. You can see a lot of damage from this area. It does seem to be better, at least in this part of the Cape, compared to others we've seen, at least in this portion of the video. But you're seeing a lot of roof damage here right now. And I know that parts of Cape Coral dealt with flooding. Of course, there was a lot of that wind damage throughout parts of the Cape. The roadway at least looks clear here for the most part, which is good. Who knows, though, what it looked like in the hours after the storm. I'm sure it was much worse.
Exactly. And take a look at these roofs that we're seeing as well. Now we're going through a stretch where things look a little bit better, but you're going to see tarps going up as well because a lot of roof damage in this area. The winds were particularly bad here. But here's another example of all the trash and all the debris that people are having to get rid of. It is just a heart-wrenching act that you have to do, to go into your house and to pull out the things that you own, the things that you love, the keepsakes, everything from personal items to just like your couch. All of it destroyed in some cases. So what you see is people just getting that stuff to the curb. And we do know in Cape Coral and in Lee County that there will be pickups for all that debris. Those times haven't been set up yet, but we do know that the garbage collection in Lee County will pick up again this morning. That's just for household garbage, the normal garbage that you would have through the course of your day.
Right, we know that our Calvin Lewis is doing coverage on the debris pickup throughout Lee County. They announced that there have been like different drop-off sites where people can go, 4 different ones. So we're going to go ahead and check in with him. He is at one of those sites that's coming up here after the break.
Good morning, everybody. You know, in some parts of Southwest Florida, the transition to recovery after the hurricane has started. And as we pick up the pieces, we want you to know that help is here.
Lee County has announced public drop-off sites for people who have homes or businesses in Lee County. You can drop off any debris from this storm. Fox 4's Calvin Lewis is live from the Shell Factory off Tamiami Trail in North Fort Myers with what you need to know about all of these sites. Calvin?
Yeah, Lisa, Chris, good morning to you both. Well, anyone here living in Lee County can, of course, bring that debris. We're talking about aluminum, tree limbs, plastic right here as you can see, this big old pile of debris right here, bring it right here to the shell factory off North Miami Trail. But you'll need to be ready to show an ID and be a resident of Lee County, as we mentioned, when that line begins to form over here. And with so many people still picking up the pieces after Hurricane Ian, the county is also asking you be patient at these drop-off sites, since you may have to wait in a line. Lines are becoming the norm, though, just like what we've seen with grocery stores and, of course, gas stations. Now, those accepted forms of ID you can bring include a driver's license, utility bill, rental or lease agreement, or even a business license. And you will have to fill out a waiver confirming the debris came from your property. And be ready to unload the debris yourself as well. Now, these 4 locations will be open daily starting this morning at 7:30. We're talking about Mosquito Control off Gunnery Road in Lehigh Acres, Brooks Park on South Road in Fort Myers, San Carlos Utility Site on Cypress Point, also in Fort Myers, and of course Shell Factory right here off North Miami Trail in North Fort Myers. Now, debris drop-off sites are open until 6:30 each night. You can, of course, find more information when you head over to our website right now. That's fox4now.com. But for now, reporting live here in North Fort Myers, Calvin Lewis, Fox 4.
Calvin, I know I've been getting a lot of questions from people, especially in the Fort Myers area, who have so much debris outside of their homes right now, debris that they've had to bring out of their flooded homes onto the street. Do they have to wait for pickup? Because, of course, at this point, it's not clear when that debris pickup is going to happen. Now, these different locations all across Fort Myers, Lee County, are opening up for you to go to as an option.
All right, and as we talk about recovering and making fixes to our homes, we want you to know that the state is warning people about price gouging. It is, of course, a crime to inflate the prices above what they would normally be in a situation, a natural disaster like this. So if you see somebody out there who you think is raising those prices to where it would be called price gouging, this is the number you have to call, 1-866-9-NO-SCAM. You can report that person or business to the Florida Attorney General.
All right, we want to show you some video and talk a minute about generator safety. This is so important because after going through something as horrific as Hurricane Ian, many people now don't have power and are relying on generators to provide light and to provide the power they need to charge up their devices. But of course, you need to do so safely. In their last update, Lee Health says they've seen 9 deaths due to carbon monoxide poisoning because generators were not put in the right place. So we do want to remind you, if you're running a generator at your home, it has to be at least 20 feet away from the house with the engine exhaust directed away from the windows and doors of your home. This is crucial because carbon monoxide is a silent killer. We know that Lee Health has also seen people coming in with carbon monoxide poisoning that aren't, of course, haven't passed away from it yet, but are dealing with the effects of it still. This is so important. You won't know that it's impacting you until it already has. You can't smell it really. So this is something you really need to keep in mind. We have more tips about this on our website, fox4now.com. But again, that key number, 20 feet away from your home. Have the exhaust that's coming out of the generator directed away from any doors or windows at your house.
All right, now we want to take you to an area along the Lee and Charlotte County line, Burnt Store Road. It's some video that shows power lines and power poles down, pretty much all of them. And this is a drive through that area. So you can see those poles are leaning towards the houses, in some cases right over the houses. And we're seeing a lot of that. Driving through Cape Coral on Cultural Park Boulevard the other day, I saw a lot of this as well. Those power lines just in people's yards, or like I said, in some cases above their house.
I know when I was driving through this area yesterday, I took Burnt Store Road when I left the Cape Coral area to head into my parents' house in Charlotte County. I saw so many linemen out working to restore this area. That was yesterday afternoon, so that's good to see. We know that there's been a lot of improvements, a lot of those power poles now upright again since this video has been taken, because again, I probably saw at least 20 FPL utility worker trucks working to restore power and restore the conditions as far as those poles in this area.
Yeah, and that's certainly a good sign, but you see video like this and you realize how widespread this damage is and how much work they still have to do. So yes, there are a lot of utility workers here in Southwest Florida, and we are certainly thankful for that, but they still have a big job to do and will be out at work as soon as the sun comes up today.
All right, now Ian may have, of course, moved out of Florida, but the damage from this storm is going to linger for, honestly, probably years to come.
Lauren Blanchard is in Naples with a look at the recovery effort there, plus the extensive search and rescue missions that are still underway.
The road to recovery will be long here in Florida. The destruction from Ian will forever change some communities. Floodwaters are still dangerously high across major pockets of Southwest Florida as search and rescue efforts continue in the aftermath of Hurricane Ian.
We're grateful that they're here, and at least we can be able to leave, because we wouldn't have been able to leave with our cars.
So far, members of the National Guard have helped transport more than 1,500 people out of flood zones, many now homeless, taking refuge at shelters.
There's more urban search and rescue teams in Florida now than in any one place in American history since September 11th.
Some who have chosen to stay behind are using boats to get around. The high water is making it difficult for power crews to enter some areas and restore electricity to hundreds of thousands still in the dark.
We lost power. We don't have any water. I mean, my food is spoiled in the refrigerator.
Meanwhile, the number of dead continues to climb. Dozens of lives lost, many elderly. Governor Ron DeSantis said Ian was so dangerous because it was so widespread when it slammed into Florida.
Some of these other major hurricane events, it hits one spot, and then that's really where you tend to. Well, this is hundreds and hundreds of miles, and so it's a big deal.
President Biden and the First Lady are expected to visit the state on Wednesday. In Naples, Florida, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
All right, Lauren, thank you very much. The time right now is 6 o'clock. I want to point that out because the curfews in Southwest Florida will expire right now. That means if you need to get out to get groceries or gas or just get some supplies, you can do that right now. The curfew has been lifted for today.
She was talking a lot about the search and rescue operations that are happening in Collier County all across Southwest Florida. We know that rescue operations are happening in Pine Island right now. And those people, of course, need to have places to go. So if you're someone who's in need of shelter or you know someone who's in need of shelter, there are multiple shelters open in Lee County right now. In Estero, there's the Estero Recreation Center. Hertz Arena, also a shelter right now. South Fort Myers High School on Plantation Road is a shelter as well. So if you are looking for somewhere to go, this is somewhere you can find shelter, electricity. There's power at these locations. And so that's a good thing to know for any of your loved ones who maybe are still in need of shelter.
All right, as I just mentioned, the curfew is up right now, so people can go outside, and likely there will be a lot of people going to get gas. So I want you to take a look at the video that we have here that shows Cape Coral. This is from yesterday, and it just gives you an idea of the lines. If you haven't been out yet and you haven't seen anything like this, this is a pretty common sight. People lined up. In some cases, they wait overnight for these gas stations to open. So as soon as they open, there is usually a long line. People are getting gas for their cars, obviously, but some people need the gas for their generators, and that's why they're in this line.
Yeah, this is just something we're seeing all across Southwest Florida. I know even as I was driving into work today, I had to be here at the studio at 3:30 this morning. And despite the fact that there's a curfew right now, I was already seeing people lining up to get gas. People were at those gas stations filling up because now is, or at least at that time, was the time where no one else would be going to those gas stations. So you wouldn't have to be dealing with a line like what you're seeing here on your screen. This video is in Cape Coral, but we saw this all over. I was in Fort Myers yesterday where I live, and every gas station I passed had a line like this. I drove into Charlotte County to see my parents for the first time since this storm happened, and the gas stations there's even fewer open in Charlotte County right now because of the power situation there. And the ones that were open, again, lines for even miles in some cases.
Well, you have to hope that the more people fill up and the more gas stations that come online again. And again, it's a problem of having power, not necessarily having gas, just having the power so they can run the pumps and they can run the payment options. So once people fill up and once more gas stations open, and I'm sure more will open today, I think we'll see those lines come down just a little bit.
And really the best advice for people right now at this point is if you really don't have to be out on the roadways, it's just just another reason to stay home. A lot of those roadways still, the debris hasn't been cleared. A lot of the areas still have some standing water. So on top of those reasons, just the gas situation alone, I know I have about half a tank left in the car I'm driving right now. So I plan to really just travel from work to home and not really waste gas doing other things.
It's a good idea. I believe we're going to show you some video of Northport. Lisa, you just mentioned standing water in some places. Well, over the weekend, there was standing water, more water in Northport. This picture is from the city of Northport. It shows you some of that flooding that they had there. Over the weekend, there was some flooding in the Peace River and the Myakka River because of flooding in central Florida. That water just rushed into these rivers here and flooded parts of Northport, southern Sarasota County, and northern Charlotte County. The flood stage is looking better this morning, but there are still some people dealing with water.
Lots of people dealing with water in Northport from what I'm hearing as well. A lot of my friends from the Charlotte County area live in the Northport area and are dealing with what you're seeing here on your screen. All right, we want to show you some video now of the Matlacha area. This has been video that's really difficult to see. It took a bit longer to be able to get images from the Matlacha area, and now that we've seen them, they're just so awful. I mean, look at the roadway here. It is broken into pieces. The bridge there, no longer passable. The streets are filled with debris and water damage. And it's just so awful to see the abandoned cars in the road, people who maybe thought they could get through. You know, you have to wonder if those people were trying to escape just ahead of the storm. It's just so scary to see this video in these areas that we've come to know and love on Matlacha, the restaurants and things like that now destroyed. We know, of course, people are devastated by this damage who live there, and they're just trying to figure out what comes next.
So a couple of important things are happening in this area, Matlacha and Pine Island today. In about an hour, FDOT is going to start going out there. They're going to have vehicles at the bridge. They say hundreds of vehicles. They're going to go in and start clearing the roads. That is going to be a big job there, but FDOT has a lot of manpower, and they are going to get to work on that in about an hour. And then about an hour after that, at about 8 this morning, we're told some soldiers are going to be airlifted to Pine Island, as well as Sanibel and Captiva, to continue their search and rescue missions and to just help anybody who may still be on any of those islands, including this person who we spoke with.
It's a little scary. My brother told me to stay here tonight because I'm so far away in St. James City, and then I have to hitchhike here every day. And I don't know if it's safe. I just asked someone, and they said all the service people leave at dark, so I don't know that it's safe to stay here.
Feel for her and everybody else still there. I did see a little bit of aerial video of St. James City, and there are certainly some areas that of St. James City that have a lot of damage, a lot of roof damage. There are other parts that don't look quite as bad, but if you're there right now, you just have to feel cut off from the rest of the world. It's kind of a remote place anyway there on Pine Island, but right now especially, no real way in or out. You probably have to feel just isolated from the world.
Absolutely. That's the same thing that we are seeing in the Sanibel area as well. You know, there's so many parts of Sanibel, especially the coastal parts, where the damage is just devastating. But then inland Sanibel, some of the homes are still intact and things are looking a lot better. So that's good to see as well.
All right, I believe we're going to talk about debris drop-off sites right now. We're talking about all of the furniture and the vegetation that you have. Most places are not coming by yet to pick that stuff up, but if you can load it into your car or your truck, you can take it to these places in Lee County. So they have sites set up at Lehigh Acres, Fort Myers at Brooks Park, the San Carlos utility site, and there's a location in North Fort Myers at the Shell Factory. So again, this is for storm-related debris that you have to drop off yourself. Those sites are open today from 7:30 until 6:30, so you have about 90 minutes before you go. You do need to show an ID that proves that you live in the county to be able to drop off stuff here.
All right, let's go back to the gas situation here in Southwest Florida because, again, so many people are on the hunt for gas right now. They need to get to work, maybe. I know a lot of offices, restaurants, things like that are reopening today. Fox 4's John Barron is live in Fort Myers this morning with an update on the gas situation. John, what can you tell us?
Amy, really at this point in time, we're actually been driving around. Me and my photog Brian actually drove around all morning, and we were all in Fort Myers, and it took us about an hour just to find a place that actually was open this early in the morning. And we had a line starting out at 4 a.m. and making its way open here now at this Sam's Club. It actually just now started opening their pumps at 6 a.m. And really what's been happening right here is a lot of anxiety, really a lot of people telling us at this point in time, none of them wanting to go on camera, but saying that, you know what, we're very anxious that we weren't going to be able to get gas. We were worried that we were going to be stranded. And then this morning, and they were actually just happy to see that this was an open place and they were able to actually start to fill their gas tanks and their generators as we continue to wait for power. Now, this line has actually been stretched all the way down to the end of Sam's Club that actually is just now starting to really recede back over here to all the gas pumps, as you can see, and people really starting to come in here. We're seeing a lot of businesses as well that we actually got to talk with at the racetrack that we first tried to get to before we were actually told that we had to wait until 7:30 to get back on the grounds because they didn't want to have to back up traffic because people are already lining up. But when we spoke with some of these businesses, they said, you know, we're worried that we're not going to be able to get out there and do our jobs because we don't have gas either. But one person that I did speak with who was waiting here early this morning, he said, you know what? I've been waiting here since 4 a.m. and I actually did find out that they had gas here because of Gas Buddy. And that's because of this app right here that you can see on my phone, and it actually lets you know exactly what places do have gas and which ones don't, which ones are out of power, and which ones actually take cash and credit. Now, I did speak with the person here, the attendant, who actually did tell me at this Sam's Club that unfortunately they are only serving those members of Sam's Club. So right now you have to have a Sam's Club membership to get gas here, but there are other ones open as well as continuing through on this morning. We'll continue to give you guys updates, and like Amy always says, make sure you guys are packing your patience because tensions are running very high this morning as people are continuing to try to make sure they can get gas and start to really make sure they can fill up their gas tanks and their generators. We'll have more for you guys coming up in the next hour, but here live in Fort Myers, John Barron, Fox 4.
All right, John, thank you. We know, aside from gas, a lot of people are in need of food and water this morning. So we want to let you know that there are food and water distribution sites in Lee County that open at 8 o'clock. So just about 2 hours, a little less than 2 hours from now. They open every morning at that time. They close at 5 p.m. So on your screen here are the different places you can go. The Old Bonita Library, the Kelly Road Soccer Complex, the Cape Coral Sports Complex, Cape Coral Leonard Street area. That's another food distribution and water distribution site. You could also go to Estero High School, the North Fort Myers Recreation Center. We'll get those addresses up here on your screen now. There's Flea Masters Flea Market. That's on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard in Fort Myers. The Veterans Park Recreation Center on Homestead Road in Lehigh Acres is another option. Remember, these are open from 8 o'clock in the morning till 5 p.m. every day for free food and water.
Also want to let you know that in Charlotte County, there will be food and water distributions today from 8 to 6. There's two of them, one at Muscle Car City Museum and at the Charlotte Sports Park. Also on our website, fox4now.com, we have a bunch of other places where you can go to get food today. You know, insurance companies are starting to count up the cost of the damage that Ian left behind here, and the early claims on the state's Office of Insurance Regulation website shows about $474 million in losses. More than 62,000 people have filed a claim so far, the majority of them for residential properties. At roughly 1.1% of those claims have been closed. Disaster modeling firm Karen Clark & Co. says Ian's damage will likely be more than $100 billion, with about $63 billion in privately insured losses.
Just awful to think about all of the damage and putting that number to it. My goodness. All right, well, this morning evacuations are continuing for people who are still stuck on Pine Island. This is something, you know, the hurricane happened on Wednesday, so still we are seeing people heading onto Pine Island to save the lives of people, and maybe people who aren't necessarily in any kind of danger but are just stuck on the island because there's no way off right now.
Yeah, put yourself into their position right now. You know, one of the things I keep hearing from people, even people who have significant damage to their homes, they always say, yes, it's bad where I live, but somebody has it worse. And that could be the case for the folks on Pine Island who are dealing with home damage and are still stranded. Here we are on Monday morning.
All right, at 6:12, we want to get you a check of the forecast because we know so many people are going to either be waiting in lines for food, water, or gas. They're going to be repairing their homes. They're going to be getting all of the debris onto the side of their streets. So let's bring in certified meteorologist Trent Eric to talk about the forecast.
Yeah, Lisa and Chris, some important information today is the sunrise sunset time. We're about an hour away, give or take, here from sunrise, which is about 12 hours of daylight today. Sunrise at 7:21. It'll set later at 7:12. That's when we'll need to be back inside as it gets very dark here in Southwest Florida here due to all the power outages. So you got about 12 hours today to work with to help continue to clean up here from Hurricane Ian. You see the radar pretty quiet. As a matter of fact, yesterday we had a lot of thunderstorms over on the East Coast with this little area of low pressure. All those thunderstorms are all but gone, and our coastline remains dry. From Lake Okeechobee all the way out towards the Lee Islands today, not a drop in sight. We're also very comfortable. We've got our temperatures right now sitting in the 60s, 68 right now on the Cape, 65 Moorhaven. The warm spot on the map is Marco Island at 71. Look at these dew point values. We're sitting here in the upper 50s to around 60. Unseasonably dry for this time of year. So that muggy meter down there between tolerable and somewhat humid. And the wind forecast today is going to be near 10. Matter of fact, your forecast for the afternoon, almost like yesterday, 86 degrees. Going to be beautiful, and that's going to help with the rescue and recovery efforts. We don't have any rain in sight until possibly Saturday and Sunday of the upcoming weekend.
All right, time right now is 6:14, and we know, again, those evacuations off of Pine Island are still going to continue into today because the bridge onto Pine Island is damaged. There's really no way out.
A lot will be happening there today, though. Fox 4's Alexandra Rangel is covering the rescue effort and the evacuation. Alex, what can you tell us?
Yeah, right now the island is only reachable by boat, so you can only imagine how hard it's been to do those evacuations in an area where there's no power and very little communication with those stranded. But help is on the way. You can actually see behind me, we have work crews here working to set up 2 barges. They're setting them up and getting them ready to be deployed later this morning to help with relief on the island. I just spoke to a sergeant with the Lee County Sheriff's Office. He says they'll be using the barges to send supplies to the island. Some of that supplies includes off-road vehicles and fuel for officers on the island. Plus, evacuations are still ongoing. Our team was here yesterday when evacuations started. They started at daybreak, and we expect the same today. The pickup point on Pine Island is the Yucatan waterfront. That's where many of the evacuees we met yesterday were picked up from and then brought by boat to Matlacha Pass. The Coast Guard also started evacuations yesterday. The Guard wants residents to meet at the fire department in Bokeelia. We spoke to one evacuee, Ed Romig, as he got off a boat yesterday. He was rescued from Bokeelia and says being on the island right now is just not safe.
Be smart. It's the roads washed out, the bridges are gone. This isn't Charlie. The Red Cross isn't going to be at the center handing out sandwiches in a week.
Today, we are monitoring these evacuations, and we're also expecting FDOT to be here later this morning. The sergeant I spoke to says FDOT will be getting started with road and bridge repairs. We also know that the governor has asked FDOT to expedite that process, so we'll be here later today to get a better timeline of when road access will be restored to Pine Island. For now, live in Matlacha, Alexandra Rangel, Fox 4.
Alex, thank you very much. That area will be quite busy today. The time right now is 6:16. Our extensive live team coverage of Hurricane Ian and the recovery will continue in just a couple of minutes.